National Economic Council constitutes committee on export promotion.
We will take the outcome of the retreat with all seriousness for the realization of our collective desire to see that every Nigerian has access to affordable water and adequate sanitation.
Revitalizing urban water supply and sanitation, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo challenges experts to think out of the box.
But if the APC can remove an incumbent president, who says that you cannot defeat an incumbent governor?
All Progressives Congress inaugurates National Campaign Council for Anambra governorship election. And on special assignment, correspondent elicits experts' opinion on the proposed special courts on corruption. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. We're live on the network service of the NTA, and I am Elizabeth Banu. In our Lagos center is Ademola Adeoye, Mina Adaobi Ukabasi is in Port Harcourt, and Mohammed Ibrahim is in Maiduguri. The National Committee on Export Promotion has been constituted by the National Economic Council towards charting a pragmatic course in enhancing the nation's economic diversification drive for sustainable development. The committee, to be chaired by Jigawa State Governor and the Minister of Trade and Investment, has a mandate to, among others, ensure effective implementation of the new zero oil plan in boosting national revenue. State House correspondent Adam Musombo reports on this and other resolutions of the Council.
Still basking in the euphoria of Nigeria's exit from recession, members of the National Economic Council, chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, were full of commendation to President Muhammadu Buhari and other key government officials for providing leadership and direction in achieving the breakthrough faster than expected. It is, however, worrisome to the Council that from 2015 to date, Nigeria lost about $100 billion in revenues due to the crash in global oil prices. This informed the constitution of the National Committee on Export Promotion to find other ways of getting revenues in response to President Muhammadu Buhari's assertion that Nigeria must start behaving as if it has no oil at all.
The committee is expected to draw a single plan based on various templates that have been made available to create a single stop shop for accessing information on export promotion, and of course getting the right inputs correctly that will see states truly taking ownership of the process of export promotion.
The zero oil plan aims at earning at least $30 billion in the medium term, as against what we have now is $5 billion, and to add $150 billion to our foreign reserves over the next 10 years, create 500,000 jobs annually, and lift a minimum of 10 million Nigerians out of poverty, and integrate the states of the Federation into the global export value chain.
A presentation on strategic export initiative by the Minister of Agriculture, amongst others, gives hope and further encouragement to the Council that in the first quarter of 2017 alone, agricultural export increased by 82%.
He gave a breakdown showing sesame seed going to countries like Turkey, China, India, frozen shrimps to Netherlands, soybeans export for the first time to Russia and Greece, crude palm kernel to Netherlands as well, cashew nuts to Vietnam. And he led a discussion about the potentials of our export sector and how we can exist even without oil. And we are glad that the plan is being put forward.
And with the concerns raised over the frequent collapse of roads, the National Economic Council resolved that states could write to the president towards securing approval for them to take over some federal roads for proper and efficient maintenance.
We are not saying we have all the money to do that, but investors are knocking our doors and they can participate in terms of fixing this road and tolling. And then, it will be a big relief, not only to federal government, states, and of course, each and every one of us.
In the meantime, Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun informed the Council that as at this month, the stabilization account balance stands at 4.3 billion naira, 84.6 billion naira in the account for the development of natural resources, while the excess crude account has a balance of $2.3 billion. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
A 10-man presidential committee that will promote transparency and efficiency in the business environment in terms of security at the nation's air and seaports, as well as land borders, have been inaugurated by the Minister of Interior, Abdurrahman Dambazo. Murjana to Adam Said reports.
According to World Bank statistics, Nigeria ranks 169 out of 190 economies on the Ease of Doing Business Index. Experts say the country loses a lot of investment due to inefficiency and duplications in the administrative systems. The Nigerian government says it is determined to improve and provide a conducive business environment, hence the inauguration of this presidential committee to ensure security within the land, sea and airports.
The committee's assignment is to assist in improving the security service in the nation's ports, which will, among other things, facilitate the implementation of the Executive Order 001.
The committee is chaired by Minister of Interior Abdurrahman Bello Dambazo. Other members of the committee include Minister of State Aviation Hadi Sirika, Controller General of Immigration Mohammed Babandede, and that of Customs, among others. In Abuja, Murjana to Adam Said, NTA News.
On business, Chartered Institute of Taxation is partnering the federal government to increase awareness on the need to pay tax and raise the standard of taxation. Let's now join Muplang Dakok for details of this and more on Business News.
Hello and welcome to Business News. As the world continues to experience a downturn in crude oil production, the Nigerian government is intensifying efforts at alternative means of revenue generation. One of such means is taxation. Minister of State, Labor and Employment, Professor Stephen Ocheni, harps on the need to discourage all forms of tax evasion.
I urge all of us here to support government in its revenue drive to finance government budget, thereby accelerating the pace of economic and infrastructural transformation of our dear nation.
The social imperatives, which is government's own part, to also let people see the services as in service delivery, for people to also begin to say, yes, I need to pay my tax because government is providing this, that.
The Debt Management Office, DMO, in its monthly auction of federal government bonds, offered 135 billion naira, raised 245 billion naira, and attracted a total bid of 395 billion naira, the highest in 4 years. The DMO raised a total of 1.26 trillion naira from sales of bonds at auction in just 9 months, reaching the target of 1.25 trillion naira for domestic financing of the 2017 budget deficit. The Nigerian stock market maintained its upward trend Thursday as the all-share index appreciated by 0.93%. Here's a summary of market activity. And that's it at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Muplang Dakok.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is asking governments at all levels to redouble efforts and synergize towards meeting the nation's water supply and sanitation demands. The Vice President said this as he opened the national retreat on revitalizing urban water supply and sanitation in Abuja. Musbaudan Muhab reports.
This event again presses home the fact that water is life. Its absence or access is like a matter of life and death. The search for clean water continues in Nigeria like in many parts of the world. not for want of raw water, but because efforts of governments at all levels have not complemented one another enough to ensure access to water and good sanitation for all. To address this situation, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo urges all relevant stakeholders to think outside the box for solutions, noting that the sector remains the primary hub for policies and actions.
On its part, the federal government will take the outcome of the retreat with all seriousness, for the realization of our collective desire to see that every Nigerian has access to affordable water and adequate sanitation in a sustainable way.
There are national and international targets to meet on water and sanitation, and several policies initiated to actualize the goals. However, Minister of Water Resources Suleiman Adamu pointed out that the states and local governments need to do more in complementing efforts of the federal government.
There is therefore the need for a serious review of the policy with a view to fashioning out a better model that would enhance more collaborative efforts of all the three tiers of government.
Collectively, we must make water a clearer priority.
As a state, we need to have substantial provision in the budget every year to attend to water. I think the water sector has been neglected for rather too long.
The Vice President also launched the Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene Wash Poverty Diagnostic Report, an overview of the state of the sector. In Abuja, Musbah and Wahab, NT News.
When the House of Representatives convened sectoral debate last year, it observed that one of the causes of federal government revenue shortfalls was financial leakage in the tax management. As a result, the legislators are now considering a bill that seeks to enhance transparency in the management of tax incentives in the country. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Physical accountability and transparency in the grant and management of tax incentives remain the potent economic framework for effective management of national tax policy. To achieve this for Nigeria, the House of Representatives is considering a bill seeking to enhance transparency in the management of tax incentives in the country. The bill, sponsored by Representative Jaribe Agom, has been passed for second reading.
Some companies are exempted from this by waivers through tax incentives, and there are so many shortcomings in it because there is no legal framework, and the tax incentives are being abused.
The need to provide adequate and affordable housing for Nigerians also featured on the floor as a bill for an act to repeal and reenact the National Housing Fund Act, sponsored by Representative Ahmed Baba Keita, was also read for a second time.
Section 9(3) states that failure by any commercial bank or merchant bank to pay to the bank any amount due under subsection 1 of this section shall be regarded as contravention of the bill and shall constitute one of the grounds for which the Central Bank of Nigeria may cancel the registration of any commercial or merchant bank.
If you withdraw the license of any of these deposit money banks, that is the end of the bank, Mr. Speaker. What that means is that there will be systemic failure. In South Africa, pension fund is greatly used to finance housing.
The legislators urged the president to intervene and stop alleged diversion of the Northeast Development Fund for the implementation of Bama initiative moved by Representative Muhammad Abdu from Bauchi State.
And we urge Mr. President to graciously assent to the Northeast Development Commission bill before him.
27 bills were passed for first reading. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTN News.
The decision of the Chief Justice of Nigeria to designate some courts to handle corruption and financial crimes cases has been described as a right step in the bid to stamp out corruption in the country. Some legal practitioners stated this while speaking with NTA News on the development in Abuja. Dele Atumbi reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari, on assumption of office in 2015, made it clear the intention of his administration to fight corruption as a way of creating conducive environment for business to thrive, as well as upscaling the economy of the country. He blamed the country's underdevelopment on corruption and solicited the support of all Nigerians in the fight against corruption.
Not for the first time, I am appealing to the judiciary to join the fight against corruption.
In the fight against corruption, the judiciary plays a vital role in adjudication. The purported slow adjudication on most cases has been a source of concern to eminent Nigerians and the executive arm of government. As a way of ensuring speedy trial of all corruption cases, the Chief Justice of Nigeria instructed heads of courts to come up with the designation of courts to handle financial crimes in all jurisdictions across the country. What is the legal implication of this policy in the nation's fight against corruption? The NJC also established a corruption and financial crimes cases track monitoring committee to monitor judges and courts handling of corruption cases. The committee, which is made up of 15 members, is headed by a former president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Ayo Salami.
It shows that we have a Chief Justice of Nigeria that has listened to the yearning of Nigeria and that has shown that we have the capacity and we have shown the will to fight this corruption.
What his Lordship has proposed will assist in a long way to get our judges to be more focused.
So the votes on special courts will mean that we will now have speedy trial, because those courts will have no other business other than trial of the corruption cases.
The National Judicial Council also directs the Apex Court and the Court of Appeal to fix special dates every week to adjudicate on appeals emanating from corruption and financial crimes cases from the lower courts. These, observers say, will help in the country's fight against corruption. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
And joining us live in the studio to talk more on the issue is Professor Epiphany Azinge, SEN legal practitioner. You're welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much.
Now, we all know that at the beginning of the 2017-2018 legal year, the Chief Justice of Nigeria directed, heads of courts to set up these special courts to try corruption and financial crimes. Now, how do you think it will hasten the corruption matters in the country now?
Well, undoubtedly, we all know that it is a step in the right direction that is going to expedite the trial proceedings, because instead of being sandwiched in the midst of all types of cases usually handled at the high courts, the designation of courts as special courts in this regard would definitely help to expedite action and make sure that the processes are well expedited. But we also must bear in mind the fact that a lot has been in the doldrums, so to speak, in the sense that many cases are not being prosecuted the way they should be, and matters are not heard the way they ought to be heard. But I believe that this is a step in the right direction, and we want to see how this goes. And certainly we've noticed that some states are already abiding by this, and they are already creating some of these special courts. We feel that it's just a matter of time, and we'll be hearing better news as far as trial of corruption matters are concerned.
Now, talking about set of rules, are we expecting new practice directions for these new courts?
Well, not necessarily. It's just the rules will remain the same, not necessarily in the sense that these are the same high courts, but with special powers now, because they are now designated as courts set out to try anti-corruption matters, and that being the case, the issue of practice direction may not arise, because that is the directive coming from the Chief Justice of Nigeria, and it is for the Chief Judges of the respective courts to abide by that. And having done so, I believe that the judges in question who have been saddled with this responsibility will be in a position to discharge their functions judiciously and expeditiously.
Okay, sometimes the delay in criminal justice dispensation is not so much, about the law, but because due to the antics, of the lawyers. Is that likely going to change now that the NJC will be monitoring? Because just yesterday, the NJC created a committee to monitor the new courts.
Well, I know that for the judiciary, they've always had this system of performance evaluation, which goes with the number of cases they handle and how they've handled those cases. There are people to monitor and obviously evaluate what they've done. But this is again another development altogether, which is welcome to a very large extent. But I must sound this note of caution that we must be careful not in the process of trying to monitor, compromise the independence of the judiciary, because it shouldn't be a situation where judges will sit down and it's like somebody's breathing down their neck. We want that chain of impartiality and neutrality and independence to remain the cardinal trust of our judiciary. But having said that, I believe that that can also help so that people will realize that they are being watched and they will do the right thing and do that properly.
Professor Epiphany Azingi-Essien, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Now, the state of Nigerian prisons is said to be a reflection of the systemic and moral rot in the society. This is the observation of non-governmental organizations that came to the rescue of some of the prison inmates who were again discharged by the Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, Justice Ishaq Bello, during another prison visit to the Suleja prisons. Femi Okewo reports.
The Suleja prison has male and female arms. It has an inmate population of close to 600, even though it is built for 200. But bad as that looks, it is even the least of its problems. The Suleja prison serves some suburbs of the Federal Capital Territory, so the inmates there are products of all sorts of weird stories. A final year student of mining and geology from the Nasarawa State University, who has been thrown behind bars for about 10 months now because she dared to terminate a relationship with a connected man. A 2-month pregnant woman who got a gift of a dead chicken from some neighboring poultry farmers, cooked it and ate with her children. The poultry owner was said to have accused her of theft, but did nothing to his workers who gave her the dead chicken rather than throw it away. For these and many more of such stories, the Chief Judge of the FCT, Justice Ishaq Bello, responded in anger and discharged and acquitted them, since they were not actually charged to court. For other matters, organizations such as Partners West Africa, Power, and the Legal Aid Council paid off fines for convicted inmates, just as FIDA stood for bails for some.
When we come out for this kind of exercise, a lot of respite are conferred on those confined behind bars because we intervene to address such a situation.
No doubt, jail visits help to address the criminal justice system of Nigeria. But from most of the cases that emanated from the Suleja prisons, the Nigerian society itself needs to do a re-evaluation of its values. From Suleja prisons, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Ahead on the news tonight, federal government says it is determined to ensure seamless implementation of constituency projects in the country. We'll bring you details when we return.
From 1967 to 1970, Nigeria went through a horrifying civil war. It didn't matter who was wrong or right. Everybody suffered. Those who fought that war say it should never happen again.
So a lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. I don't think a second one is necessary. We should have learned from that first one. Otherwise, the dead would have been to no avail, would all have been in vain.
The words of our elders are full of wisdom.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
When the kings of African comedy gather under one roof,
there is only one outcome.
Then we bring down the roof.
Come witness the craziest
and the funniest, the oh my God,
and
the baddest of them all. Laughter will scatter your brain well.
Come watch the biggest names in African comedy at Glow Laughter Fest. Basket Mouth, Bovi, I Go Die, Sheyi Law, Gordons, Salvador, Osama, Bash, Kenny Black, and many more.
You will never have a bigger gathering of jaw-dropping, whip-cracking comedians under one roof. One microphone, one network.
All over Nigeria. Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
I am gonna be there. I'm going to be there.
Live and direct.
For the time of your life.
Will you?
To win a free ticket, use 2,000 Naira in a month and text LOL and your preferred location to 240.
Oh, Laughter Fest. Laugh go kill you, die.
True.
Glow Unlimited.
Nigeria is a strong emerging world economy with a population of over 170 million people. With the diligent work of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, in line with the federal government's economic diversification agenda, SON has put in place accredited laboratories to ensure that made in Nigeria products meet international standards and ready for export. SON regularly conducts products registration, certifications, factory inspections, monitoring, a metrology laboratory to get accurate measurements, while SONCAP checks the conformity of imported products and the SON Legal Act to prosecute offenders. Don't sell and don't buy substandard products. Before you buy, look well. See something, say something, or call these numbers. SON, improving life through standards.
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, wishes to invite stakeholders in the maritime sector to the harmonized NIMASA Stakeholders Interactive Forum, theme, Synergy, an instrument for sustainable development of the blue economy. The forum will provide a platform for NIMASA and all stakeholders in the maritime sector to harmonize positions on how best to harness the blue economy for the growth of the Nigerian economy. Date, Friday 29th September 2017. Venue, Eko Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos. Time 9 a.m. Host, Dr. Dagugu Peter Side, DGCEO NIMASA. Chief Host, Right Honorable Rotimi Chibuike Amechi, Minister of Transportation. Hajia Jumei Musa, Chairperson, Organizing Committee. Announcer.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
The President General, Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, His Eminence, Al-Hajj Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, CFR MNI, the Sultan of Sokoto, invites the general public to the formal Islamic program to mark the 57th Independence Anniversary. Topic: Post-Recession Management of the Nigerian Economy, Islamic Principles Antidote. Date: Friday the 29th of September 2017. Venue: Conference Hall National Mosque, Abuja. Time 12 p.m. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbanjo, SAN GCON, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Chief host, Malam Muhammad Musa Bello, Honorable Minister of Federal Capital Territory. Guest speaker, Alhaji Ahmed Babatunde Popola, FCA. Guests of honor, all ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished senators, and honorable members of the National Assembly, their lordship judges of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. After the lecture, special Jumu'ah prayer will be held at the National Mosque, Abuja.
What makes a nation truly unstoppable? It's being able to push in the face of odds, rise above limitations, and realize that everyone's effort counts when it comes to nation building. What makes us unstoppable? It's when we work together as a team without letting our differences hold us back. There's no stopping the Nigerian dream.
Reach for your peak, Nigeria. Happy Independence Day.
Do you know that the Nigerian police now operates in the best international practices of policing? Do you know that the Nigerian police has been restructured to be more accountable and responsive to all your security challenges? Now, what the police demand from you is your trust, your collaborative efforts by providing necessary information about criminals and their activities in your neighborhood. Be vigilant. To achieve our creed as we promise, we shall police the country based on international core values of policing with integrity. We shall ensure that rule of law prevails in our actions and activities. We shall respect diversity, display courage, show compassion, and demonstrate professionalism. We shall operate within the principle of democratic policing. We shall shun corruption, and we shall make Nigeria safer and secured under the leadership of IGP Ibrahim Otum Idris.
Let the wind of change blowing across the country chase away crime for the benefit of our society. Yes, the Nigerian police says this change must come with peace and tranquility.
This message was brought to you by the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Police Force.
Alhaji Tafawa Balewa, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sir Amadu Bello, Chief Obathemi Awolowo. These patriots worked together to achieve independence for one united Nigeria. Although some may say Nigeria is a mistake, we all know that the Almighty never makes mistakes.
God has not made a mistake by bringing us all together in the way that He has brought us together. God has put us together here so that we can build a community that will be an example to the entire world.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. Now, ahead of Nigeria's 57th independence anniversary, senators focused on the journey so far, challenges, and how these can be overcome with a renewed mindset of unity. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adegunloye reports on this and the consideration of some reports.
In line with Standing Rules 42 and 52, standard proceedings were set aside to allow for in-depth analysis of where Nigeria was, to where she is, and to where she aspires to be.
What I believe that we need to do as a country going forward is to ensure that we'll be able to maximize the benefits of our diversity, to ensure that the rainbow we have in Nigeria will be beneficial to all of us. This country called Nigeria is a unique country, and therefore a unique approach to ensure its survival as a nation should be followed at every stage.
Never again should Nigeria see another civil war, because it's very difficult for any nation to survive two civil wars.
We all should remain together. There's nothing that is worth disintegrating. Like we've been in the 60s, we should come together to make Nigeria great.
The Senate do congratulate Nigeria and all Nigerians on the 57th independence celebration.
Reports, including the report of the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters on Abduction, Wrongful Restraint and Wrongful Confinement for Ransom Bill 2017, and Prohibition and Protection of Persons from Lynching, Mob Action and Extrajudicial Executions.
Prescribe penalties for conspiracy and death, serious injuries arising from commission of the offense.
Delegations from the UNDP and the African Caribbean Pacific Group also engaged the Senate President on collaborations including SDGs, governance, economy and growth, and the gender bill. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
Still on Nigeria's independence, at 57, Nigeria has done well despite the challenges of nationhood. These were views expressed on NTA's Current Affairs program, Moment for Thought.
In many countries, it took them 200-300 years to attain their present state of civilization. We are 57 years. And with the experiences we have come through, I think we should beat our chests, congratulate ourselves
people feel that because of the diversity we have, 200, 300 ethnic nationalities that were amalgamated, that came together and fused into one nation, that this is an impossible feat to be together. But I want to say that even the Almighty God, in His infinite wisdom, created different organs that don't necessarily resemble themselves and fuse them together as one body.
Moment for Thought comes up tonight at 10:30 on the NTA network service. And a bit on the political scene, Governor of Bauchi State, Muhammad Abubakar, has been appointed chairman of the 48-member National Campaign Council of the All Progressives Congress for the Anambra governorship election. National chairman of the party, John Odige Oyegun, while inaugurating the council, says Anambra State is a gateway for the APC to get to the southeast and wants them to work towards success. Saliu Abdullahi reports.
The National Campaign Council of the All Progressives Congress APC has 6 state governors of Plateau, Kaduna, Kogi, Edo, Ondo as members. Others include members of the APC National Working Committee, some serving ministers, and all the aspirants during the party's governorship primaries in the state, among other party members. National chairman of the APC, John Odige Oyegun, urged the people of Anambra State to consolidate the peace that has so far characterized the build-up of election activities in the state.
This election, we know it is not going to be a bed of roses because we have an incumbent governor. But if the APC can remove an incumbent president, who says that you cannot defeat an incumbent governor?
It is incumbent on us for very many reasons to ensure that we first and foremost provide a level playing ground in Anambra State.
Meanwhile, the national chairman had earlier presided over a closed-door meeting with top members of the party from the southeast. The party's chairman, Chief Oyegu, and former Senate President Ken Nnamani addressed the media.
Until we manage to bring a few states into the mainstream of progressive politics, this continued cry of marginalization, we may not see the end.
Only thing I would like to add to what Mr. Chairman said, he talked about unity of purpose. I would also like to add unity of purpose and unity of action.
Highlights of activities at the party's secretariat was the formal introduction of Tony Nwoye as APC governorship candidate, as well as Cairo Ojubo as a new member of APC who defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Ekiti State Governor Peter Ayodele Fayose has declared his intent to contest the 2019 presidential election. The party's national leadership, however, says this is in defiance with the resolution of members zoning the presidency to the north. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba reports.
Governor Ayo Fayose, who is also the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, says he joins the race to replicate his achievements in Ekiti State to the entire nation. On PDP's zoning arrangement, Fayose says he is aspiring for the presidency because nobody has so far declared his interest from the northern region given the opportunity by the party.
It is to inform you formally that I will be seeking the ticket of our great party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to contest the 2019 presidential election. This is without prejudice to our party's position. But if nobody comes out, I do take away.
In a swift reaction, the National Caretaker Committee's Publicity Secretary, Mr. Dayo Adeye, reaffirmed in a telephone interview that the PDP zoning arrangement stands.
You're watching NTA Network News. The future gets brighter in the power sector as stakeholders meet in Lagos. This and more with Ademola in Lagos. Over to you, Demola.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening and a warm welcome to Lagos. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says the federal government has concluded plans to come up with policy formulation that will effectively address the challenges of estimated billing and metering gap in the country. He stated this at a one-day policy dialogue on power sector organized by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Lagos. Musa Toliat has the details.
As part of its mandate to promote and showcase the vast investment opportunities in the country, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry says the policy dialogue on the power sector is imperative given the drive by the federal government to liberalize business climate and enhance service delivery in ministries, departments and agencies of government.
The very critical issues affecting the cost and ease of doing business, issues around getting electricity, forms part of the reasons why this dialogue session is being organized today.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, hinted that efforts have been intensified to check energy theft, estimated billing, and various challenges in the sector. He, however, told the gathering that a new policy formulation which will attract more investors in the power sector value chain will soon be made public.
Regulations to govern meter service providers will come out in October. It enables other businesses that are not discos to supply meters. The core business of the disco is not meter supply.
The Minister of Power later fielded questions from stakeholders on various areas of concerns, including enforcement of prepaid meter, tariff increment, and review of privatization contracts in the power sector. Presentation by the LCCI Power Sector Group heralded the policy dialogue on the power sector. In Lagos, Musa Tolian, NTA News.
The ICT industry is one of the fastest growing sectors in Nigeria's economy and will create huge employment if properly harnessed. Annie Daniels reports that ICT expert at the colloquium held in Lagos stressed this in line with the theme, the evolution of ICT and the spread of change in Nigeria economy space.
Communications technology specialists at the colloquium took turns to reflect on the evolution of the ICT industry in Nigeria. They unanimously agreed that though Nigeria is making giant strides in the ICT world, she needs to up her game in comparison to other African countries like Kenya and Tanzania. They suggested that adequate attention be given to the study of science and technology as well as human and capital development.
Pupils must be educated to do things. Let them be inquisitive. Why is this thing working? How does it work?
We can begin to teach our children using toys how to program.
Focus on artificial intelligence, then that would help us Nigerians to make that move even faster.
For his unequaled role in the development of ICT in Nigeria and also the first Nigerian to tie two large computer mainframe systems in a datacom network for an oil company, Chief Don Etiebet was honored.
It's a matter of being able to translate the English language into binary language and where the computer understands. With that, you'll be able to produce computer programs that can do any work that you want to do.
It's just a sense of an entrepreneurial, if you will, gate that can move society forward.
The event also served as a platform to mark Don Etiebet's 73rd birthday in Lagos. Annie Daniels, NTA News.
You're still watching NTN Network News. More reports ahead after this timeout. Stay with us.
Pepe Dev. So tell somebody to tell everybody to come join Maya, baby. I they bring too much sauce. Glow Mega Music Talk. It's gonna be a mad over your 10. Yo, wait, we are showstoppers.
I'm your host for the biggest show ever.
If you miss the stuff, you're gonna miss everything. So join me, guys. Let's turn it up.
We'll be storming across Nigeria. I won't be anywhere else.
Everyone who is anyone is going to be there. All Nigeria's A-list musicians.
One big stage.
Live and direct.
Glow Mega Music Tour all over Nigeria.
So watch out because we dey come.
Let's go!
It's the Glow Mega Music Tour with your favorite anchors and special guest stars. It's gonna be untamed. Text music and your preferred location to 207. Use 2,000 Naira Glow airtime in 1 month to stand in line for your free ticket. So what are you waiting for? The Glow Mega Music Tour.
Glow Unlimited. Where innovation begins. The Brain, LG Inverter Technology. Better performance. More energy savings. Now in the entire lineup at LG.
The Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, wishes to invite senior officers and directorate staff of both military and paramilitary services in the Federation to its second edition of a 3-day national workshop. Theme: Security Management in a Democratic Dispensation. Date: 9th to 11th October 2017. Venue: ASCON Complex, Topo Badagry. Fee: 70,000 Naira per delegate. Payment mode: name of account, ASCON Recollection Account, payable at any commercial bank. Account number 023-005-586-1019. For further inquiries, please contact Barrister Kolawole Alagbe, Workshop Director on 00-333-074-08 or Harun Akapo, Workshop Coordinator on 00-239-334-66. Visit www.ascon.gov.ng. Announcer, Director General, ASCON.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission is consulting key players in the power sector on the proposed review of 4 legislations by the Commission. Abdul Wahab Babankanti reports that the consultation held in Jos availed the power service providers and consumers opportunity to make suggestions on the way forward in the electricity business.
The proposed review includes methodology, business continuity regulation, BCR, and the declaration of eligibility customers regulation, as well as metering options in the Nigerian electricity supply industry. The review is to ensure that power sector value chain is sustained through the performance of critical obligations of market participants. It is also to enable transmission and distribution companies to effectively deliver safe, reliable, and sustainable electricity to consumers, as well as finance timely investments in the sector. All presentations focus on efficient service delivery that will benefit both providers and consumers.
I want everybody, including you members of the press, to assist us to see what can be done to eliminate estimated billing.
Of course, you have the eligibility customers where people can actually buy electricity directly from the generating company rather than through the disco.
Niger State Governor, represented by his deputy, Ahmed Mohamed Ketso, emphasized the role of efficient power supply to the socio-economic development of the country. Consumers at the event raised issues on inadequate power supply and the billing system. Input from this consultation will be considered by the Commission before the final draft regulation is adopted. In Jos, Abdullah Babankanti, NTA News.
Let's now join Mina in Port Harcourt for the next report. Over to you, Mina.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening and welcome to Port Harcourt. Environmental experts are advocating the siting of the federal government's proposed modular refineries close to the oil-producing areas of the Niger Delta and its speedy completion to address developmental challenges. This is coming in the wake of most interest groups and communities agitating for the siting of modular refineries in their areas following the pronouncement of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibanjo. Kingsley Amazuri reports.
Dr. Tadus Imegi, Dean, Faculty of Environmental Studies, Port Harcourt Polytechnics, is one of those who have hailed the decision of the federal government in establishing modular refineries in communities where oil is exploited.
We're looking at the concept of modular refineries. The expectation is that when they do start, yes, some minor jobs will be created for the communities.
This is coming at a time that concerned stakeholders in Oba Ibomandoni local government area are expressing concern over perceived neglect by the government and the multinationals operating in their locality.
We demand immediate dualization of Ahoda Omo, Ibocha Edema Road, that Nigeria Active Oil Company, Nayo, should site the proposed refinery in Onega.
The people, however, expressed gratitude to the state government for its intervention in the security challenges that once rocked the area. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And that's a bit from here. Back to you, Elizabeth, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Mina. And Mohammed in Maiduguri brings us the next report. It's over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Welcome, viewers, to Maiduguri. Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima has assured total commitment to ensure smooth commencement of Memorandum of Understanding signed between International University of Africa in Sudan and University of Maiduguri. The governor gave the assurance when the Vice Chancellor, International University of Africa, led by a board member, Mohamed Indimi, visited Government House Maiduguri. Abubakar Mohamed Musa reports.
Governor Kashim Shettima said the present administration in Borno has over the previous years sent over 50 female students to study medicine in Sudan and commended Mohamed Indimi for complementing the effort of his administration. The Vice Chancellor, International University of Africa, Professor Mohammed Kamal Obed, expressed the willingness to play his role to the fullest, especially the development of African studies, as well as the provision of instructional materials to the University of Maiduguri Library. The Sudanese delegation were then conducted round University of Maiduguri by the Vice Chancellor of the institution, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar Jodi.
Just a milestone is yet another milestone. You will recall I have been promising Nigerians that we will take the University of Maiduguri to the zenith. And this is one of them. It's one of the steps. We are linking up, opening up the University of Maiduguri to international sphere.
The Memorandum of Understanding between University of Maiduguri and International University of Africa, Sudan, is now referred to as Khartoum Affirmation. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Mohammed Musa, NTA News.
That does it from this end. Back to Elizabeth in Abuja.
Thank you, Mohammed. And we'll take our last break. When we return, Sports Update. Stay with us.
Old Trafford seems to be a fortress once again for the Red Devils. Can they bag another 3 points against Crystal Palace, or will the Eagles upset the home faithful at the Theatre of Dreams? The world's most wanted league, Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, Saturday, 30 September on Kwese Free Sports for the Fan.
Fortified with nutrients to give you a stronger body and sharper mind with a gold mark of quality backed up by heritage. Peak has been building strong families since 1954. Peak, reach for your peak. Your favorite Peak milk, now also available in field milk.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
The production and distribution of counterfeit medicine and adulterated food products have negative impact on our health and economy as a whole. I urge all Nigerians to support NAFDAC in safeguarding our health. God bless Nigeria.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Now, in a bid to enhance the standard of practice in private and public sectors of the Nigerian economy, some professionals who distinguished themselves in their field of practice have been recognized. Momso Damian Lati has details.
Whenever a government, corporate body or business institution consults a trained and certified consultant in any field of management science or related disciplines, then there is a guarantee that quality and value can be added to its operations for meaningful development. This is exactly what the Institute of Management Consultants Nigeria, a body of professional management consultants, seeks when it comes to international best practices.
We are members of the International Council of Management Consulting Institutes. There are only 2 such institutes in Africa. It is recognized in about 50 countries of the world.
The conferment of certificates of management consultants on these distinguished personalities, including the NTA Executive Director Marketing, Salihu Dembos, is an indication that while the number of consultants in Nigeria is increasing, quality consultations will be achieved to enhance a viable human capacity development.
Him as a person can practice as a consultant. Apart from that, his wealth of knowledge will be able to add value to NTA.
Beyond that, it is that we will bring core competence to play, and I think that's what this country deserves.
The institute was established 34 years ago in Abuja. Momso Damien Lati, NTA News.
Now, sports update with Tamara Ebiwe.
As the national male and female volleyball teams intensify preparations ahead of the African Volleyball Nations Cup tournament in Cameroon and Egypt, the technical department